Hello everyone and welcome back to Putin Football First. Very, very excited again to be able to bring you a special guest, an interview, none other than Phil Dando. Welcome.
Hello Tony, hello Jonathan, how are you?
I just wanted to start by saying congratulations for, was it 15 years that you were commentating with Aaron Carney with the Jets?
Yeah, 15 years we did it before the A-League started in the old NSL days, and we had a lot of fun with it over the 15 years, and pity the results didn't always go the way we wanted, particularly in the last few years when I did it. I hadn't done so much this year when they reached the grand final. We knew that was going to happen as soon as I finished, basically, that the Jets would come good again. That's what happened, but no, I'm glad to see them. I knew I was going to be away come semi-finals and grand final time, and I thought, that'll be all right, I won't miss much. Well, of course I did. So, but that's it, and I retired full-time from work, so I've retired from football as well, and I'm just living the life of a gentleman now.
Did I hear the right thing from you both, that you started in a car somewhere, that you just went over to one of the games and just practiced?
No, we didn't actually. No, that's not true.
Was that Aaron? Can't trust Aaron.
We had planned. We didn't really know one another when we first started. We just, other than to say hello to at media conferences and things like that. And then we got pitched in together for this commentary when Constantine decided he wanted Newcastle United, as it was in those days, to be games to be live on the radio. And we did say, what we'll do, we'll get together sometime and we'll have a practice. And we never did. And of course, time being what it is, we're both working and that. And,
like us,
and it didn't happen. So of course, we lobbed up for the first game, and it was Melbourne Knights at the old Sports Centre. I thought it was very old in the days compared to what it is now. Yeah. And because it was the first ever game, there was lots of stuff planned for beforehand, and I think we were on air from about 2 hours before kick-off with all sorts of interviews and people coming in, a bit like this, and doing all that. And then you wouldn't believe it, Melbourne Knights got held up coming up from Sydney on the motorway, and the game kicked off 45 minutes late. So we had to pan for another 45 minutes as well. Again, a bit like us. So that was it. It was baptism of fire, if you like. And but over the 15 years that we did it, we had a lot of fun. As I said, didn't really know Aaron, but it turned out, although he was 20 years younger than me, we had a similar sense of humour, so we just bounced off one another. And even when the going was tough, and once again, Melbourne Knights away, trying to set up in places like that, and Marconi in the sauna with the sun beating down on you. It was just, we always managed to have a laugh about it anyway. Yeah.
Well, as a football fan, we just want to say thank you to you both. We're going to get Aaron Carney in your seat as well at some stage to have a chat about him, all things football. Before we get to the World Cup, though, I just want to talk to you about the UEFA Champions League final. You're a long-time Liverpool supporter, a long-suffering supporter as well, and a player as well in the early days. What did you make of the of that final?
Look, I would start off. It was great that Liverpool got there, because I didn't expect that to happen anyway. I was never confident with it being Real Madrid, but I was just hoping that they would win. Obviously, you're going to ask me about the goalkeeping, and I thought it was awful, to be honest with you. I probably couldn't say what I really think about it, but for a professional goalkeeper who gets paid about £50,000 a week, $100,000, in our money, I just thought his performance was disgraceful. And all this rubbish about concussions and
it's a conspiracy theory.
It doesn't wash with me. I tell you what, if I'd have been in the dressing room after, or in my day, and I hate using that expression, one of the players would have had you against the wall, and you'd have suffered a concussion afterwards because he would have smashed it.
A Liverpool kiss?
Well, yeah, possibly. You might have got that as well.
I want to ask you about that. Was it the nerves? I mean, that guy has played some pretty good football to get them to the final, but he... under 18 stuff. What happened?
Well, it was worse than under 18s. Under 12s, you wouldn't expect your under 12s keeper to do what he did.
How much all are under 12s out there? We don't mean it.
Look, I don't know. To be honest, he got a decent. He had a decent spell after he was put in the team and given a regular run, and you started thinking, maybe he will get there, because I always had my doubts about him, and I thought maybe he will get there, but the final just showed you that he's no chance. That's him now. I mean, I can't imagine Liverpool keeping him. I think they'll just quietly move him out the way.
There was a lovely meme out on social media which they took a scene from I think it was Oliver Twist, where the Artful Dodger was, walking one of his little juniors down this street, and the junior didn't know that the Artful Dodger was about to do him in. And they replaced the faces of Carrius and Klopp.
Yeah, well, that's
don't worry about it, mate.
Yeah,
don't worry about it. As
Fine.
he threw him down the gutter, but
that's what he'll be. Yeah, he'll be thrown down the gutter for sure.
That's a shame. It's a shame.
Look, it is. I mean, I got released from Liverpool at the age of 20. I never even got near the first team. And I just look at that and think, I made some mistakes, but blimey days, they were. They were awful in one game, and I know what you're going to lead to now.
Well, it's a beautiful segue to goalkeeping mistakes.
You can tell I'm a professional, can't you?
You've done this before. Just Harrison, can you just run some footage? We've got some terrific footage of Phil in the heydays of KB United. Now, they were the heydays of KB United football here, and how it started in Newcastle. That must bring some memories, painful or otherwise.
Yeah, well, there's some good memories and there's some not so good memories, and the OG was one of them. Yeah.
For the record, I don't think that was your fault.
Thank you very much. I agree with you. Not everyone does. And it's 40 years ago, and it's 40 years this year, actually, March this year.
78, was it?
78.
Wow.
Yeah, first year at KB United, and it was only the second ever home game. And it was just before half time. And we had a bit of a giggle about it at half time, and but we ended up losing the game 1-0. So
that was the only goal.
So it wasn't so much of a laugh.
Well, listen, I think Trent Sainsbury sent you a nod. And
actually, that was almost as bad, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, yeah. Do you still exchange Christmas cards with Roy Drinkwater?
Well, no one exchanges cards with Roy Drinkwater anymore, but it's not because of football matters. Yeah. So those who have known Roy over the years will know why that is. We might move on. But apparently he's in England. He may be in a concrete pile on a motorway somewhere. I'm not quite sure. But things went bad. Put it that way.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Now, can I move things on to your coaching career?
Coaching career, yeah. Well, yeah. No great highlights there, but that won't take long.
It's no secret that my next goal for my coaching is to get a gig at Maitland Magpies.
Oh, right.
I don't have my B licence yet, but what was it like?
Actually, it was a bit strange coming in after not doing seniors for the best part of 15 years or more. And it was because I'd retired from full-time work. My full-time job was technical director for Macquarie Football, and I had no intention of going back into coaching, but I knew one of the guys on the committee at Maitland, and he said, we haven't got a coach. Dean Heffernan's left at the last minute. We haven't got a coach. Can't find anyone with a B licence. And I said, well, look, I've got a B licence. It's only got a year to run on it, and then I'm retiring. I'm not sort of doing my accreditation to keep it going or anything like that. So if you want to use that, you can use it. And I thought Matt Thompson was being groomed for the coaching job, but when he got there, Matt decided that basically he wasn't going to do it, and I basically stepped in and I did it. And,
Maitland Magpies, for the record, local talent is what you need.
Sorry, isn't enough there. I mean, I think quite a few of them were locals. I mean, I don't know because I never really got into it.
I just coached, but anyway.
oh, that's coach. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. So it was fun. I enjoyed the challenge of working with senior players again, putting the training sessions on and doing a bit of coaching and. Finding the strengths and weaknesses of the side and playing to them, which I think you should do as a coach. Don't go in with set ideas. You look at what you've got and then say, okay, how can we get the best out of these? And we did that to a certain extent. I think we would have done better if we hadn't had 4 of the first 5 games rained off and ended up playing, I think it was 18 games in 10 weeks, so including FFA Cup game, which would be a big ask for full-time professionals, but for us to ask guys who only train twice a week and play at the weekend to do that. That was a big ask, and we really struggled. And then when we got injuries and suspensions at the end of the season, and lads were tired, and that's when we fell away a wee bit from there, you know. But look, the lads were great. I really enjoyed working with them. They were a great bunch of lads. And
I think you two are crazy. I'm coaching for the very first time this year my under 10, my daughter's under 10 football team at Maitland Magpies as well. And I have never been more frustrated in my entire life watching kids run around like a swarm of bees on the field. So
it can be frustrating.
Actually, we've got some footage of that. We'll play it now.
Run that way. Ready? Go.
Yes, very good, Tony.
Yeah,
Very good.
yeah. Just can't get through to them. Okay, let's talk about the World Cup. Now, let's start in 1966.
66?
You were there.
I was there, yeah. 1966 World Cup was in England. You were two?
I was two.
I wasn't in existence.
I was going to say, yeah.
I was two.
I thought you were two, yeah.
I don't remember.
No, I'm a sprightly 30.
I just turned 14, and because it was in England, so it was a huge event. It was really, and me being mad about football, of course, I wanted to be a part of it, and there were some games played in Liverpool. They were at Goodison Park, Everton's ground, so because they were not a bigger team than Liverpool. Liverpool had sort of come back on level terms with Everton by that stage, but Goodison Park was a better stadium than Anfield in those days, and so the games were there, and I think there was 3 group games, a quarter-final and a semi-final, and I went to one of the group games, the quarter-final and the semi-final.
And you saw Eusebio play?
I saw Eusebio a couple of times actually, yeah. I also saw Pele, the Portugal versus Brazil group game. Pele got absolutely smashed. He got kicked off the pitch and ended up limping off partway through the game. Brazil had you talk about the curse of the World Cup. Brazil had won it in 62,
yes.
Didn't get out of the group in 66 in England, so Portugal and Hungary qualified out of the group. And Hungary were a very good team too. They beat Brazil 3-1 in the group game, and they were
Can't hurt of now.
Yeah, can you imagine now after seeing Hungary at the weekend, you know. So they were a very good side in those days. I didn't see that game, but so I went to Portugal versus Brazil. So that was Brazil getting knocked out. I went to the quarter-final. The quarter-final was a big one. I was right behind the goal in the Gladys Street end of Goodison Park, where North Korea scored 3 in the first 25 minutes to take a shock 3-0 lead. Now, no one knew, they knew less about North Korea in those days than they know now, you know.
Yeah.
And I think Donald's opened them up a bit now, but with his meeting with Kim Jong-un,
Yes.
and so I think we know
Home ground
more.
is in Singapore, apparently.
Yeah, so I think we know more about them now. But famously, they knocked Italy out as well in the group stages as well, beating Italy
North Korea 1-0.
1-0.
Yeah.
Pat Dewitt became an instant hero by scoring the winning goal in that game. So, but no one really gave them a hope against Portugal in the quarter-final, and we all went down there, and Goodison was packed. And they went to a 3-0 lead within 25 minutes or thereabouts, and we all were, blimey, what's going on here? They're going to get into the semi-final. And they were all tiny. Even the goalkeeper, he was only been about 5'6". And anyway, Portugal just had too much for them in the end with Eusebio.
They scored their 3 goals too early.
Yes, Kaluna, and I think Eusebio got 3 of the 5, didn't he? I think he got a hat.
I think he's got 4.
I think he might have got 4, yeah.
He ended up the top scorer in that World Cup.
I couldn't remember whether it's 3 or 4 now. I should have done my homework. And but they came back to 5-3. But everyone had a wonderful time. 8 goals, and Portugal came back from 3 goals down to win 5-3. So that was great. And then the semi-final, the way it turned out, it was supposed to be England's semi-final against Portugal. So Portugal was sort of supposed to stay where they were, and it was supposed to be England versus Portugal against Goodison. But the powers that be said, oh no, England are going to stay at Wembley.
Yeah.
They played all again. We want England at Wembley where there's going to be 100,000 there. We're not going to take it to Goodison where there's only 50,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we ended up with West Germany versus Russia. And although I got to stand behind the goal where the great Lev Yashin was playing, it was a stinker of a game. It was an awful game. And it's sort of the forgotten semi-final, if you like. It's because West Germany won it 2-1 and went on to play England in the final, which we probably all know about as well. But it was a stinker of a game, and I can remember actually leaving. I never leave games early, and I can remember leaving about 5 minutes before the
Wow.
end. So, but anyway, look, that was my experience with the World Cup. I haven't been to another one since, and
Wow.
I don't know that I'm likely to. I don't think I'll be going to Qatar in 30 odd degrees.
Yeah, I think we'll make a pretty solid prediction. The World Cup will never be hosted by Australia. So you didn't go to London to watch it. You watched it on the TV.
Yeah, I watched it on the telly.
It was black and white.
It was black and white.
Yeah.
The last World Cup to be broadcast in black and white. Yeah. And the commentator famously said, "For those of you watching in black and white, England are in the red shirts."
That's terrific. And in black
Sounds
and
like
white,
something we would say.
yeah, that's it. And in black and white, you could still see that Jeff Hurst's goal didn't cross the line.
It did.
There's the VAR when you want it.
I'll tell you why I know, because Roger Hunt was the nearest player to it, and Roger could have actually headed it back in.
Yeah.
And I got to know Roger very well during my time at Liverpool, and I can always remember, I asked him, I don't know, something came up, and I managed to sidle up alongside him and said, "Was it in?" And he said, "Yeah, it was in." He said, "I'd have knocked it in if I wasn't sure it was."
Well, famously, Jeff Hurst, because he's the only player in the world who's ever scored a hat-trick in a World Cup final, he called goal as soon as he hit it, as soon as it went in. And that was it. That was the moment frozen in time, and no one went after it because they all knew and they were convinced that it had crossed the line.
No, I was just surprised though that Roger didn't actually knock it in himself.
You and I have never been able to hit the ball hard enough to put enough backspin on the ball for it to come back out again. Ours it hit the bar and just sort of flop over the line.
Had I been the goalkeeper, though, I'd have been saying, no, it wasn't it. But it was an England goal, and we still scored another one, so it ended up 4-2 anyway. So
That's it.
Academic. Yeah. So this World Cup. You're obviously you played and coached football all your life. I'm not going to ask the question, will Australia get through to the group stage? Out of the group stage, but...
I think that they can do.
Really?
Yeah, I think they can do, yeah.
You heard it here first, everyone?
Yeah, I think they can. France obviously are the favourites. So, look, Denmark and Peru to play, they're not the best teams in the world. They're okay, right? And you probably think that they will be favoured.
But Peru's on fire, right?
Yeah, but going on the rating. But the thing with the World Cup, you've only got to have one bad day.
That's it.
Or a bad decision. One bad decision can cost you. And it can be a bad coaching decision, bad refereeing decision, bad player decision. So. There's no reason why Australia can't get out. And I think they're well organised now. Bert van Marwijk's got very, very well organised. And, the two games, Hungary and the Czech Republic that they've just played, you look at the start of them and you think, oh, blimey, we're going to be on the receiving end here. But they weathered storms, or, the bit of a storm that was being thrown at them. You sort of expect it, and they said, no, we're organised to deal with this. We know that we can impose ourselves on you, and they did in both games. And so I think they've got that now. I think with Ange, and I know there's been a bit of discussion lately about Ange's philosophy compared to Bert van Marwijk, but I think Ange was prepared to almost sacrifice this World Cup for the sake of development. Now, that's all well and good in the overall scheme.
Not sure he was on the same page with everybody else on that one.
No, look, I would have liked to have seen that maybe come to fruition. I probably would have liked him to stay in the job and go another World Cup and see if that did come to fruition.
It's
a
long time to give something a chance.
But we're talking about overall development of Australian football as well. Have we now thrown the baby out with the bathwater, sort of thing, and gone? Look, I can see, having been a player and a coach, I can see why you just go there now and want to. I'd say, okay, we just want to do well in this. Let's get organised. Let's do well. Yeah. Because that makes that's the feel good factor comes through, and
there's also there's the participation in football lifts when we perform well at a World Cup.
That's it, exactly.
But it's not the amount of money.
It'd be very hard to convince a public that this is an 8-year job, and this is good for the game when we don't get that lift that we normally get out of a World Cup. We saw that in 2014 and 2010. When you don't perform well, it doesn't do terribly much for the game in terms of participation.
That's it,
but the flip side and that was the worry with Ange's style. Maybe he was hoping it would come through in time for this World Cup. I don't know, but there was signs that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, even the money that's involved in it. I mean, Australia or the FFA get $10 million US because we made the World Cup, but we get out of it, we'll get something like about 15 million. So that again will have that flow-on effect of developing the game at grassroots, which we hope they spend. We hope they spend well enough.
That's right. But it's the curse of the coach, isn't it? The national coach. We saw Ange quit probably before his time, but you kind of understood, having sort of hearing what's going on behind the scenes. You kind of understood why.
Yeah.
And you take a team to the World Cup, you're going to get criticised almost no matter what. So, given all that he had to take before it, I'm not surprised he quit. But had he kept going, he'd have had to take another bucket full at the end. How do we protect coaches from this and let them get that through?
Well, you've got to be prepared to just wear it, just say, yeah, the coach is right, full stop, and unfortunately we don't do that. And no one in the world is telling we're probably better than most because we're prepared to go, okay, he's got a philosophy and we'll back him. Whereas other countries, you've lost 3, off you go. We'll get someone better.
Not mentioning Saudi Arabia.
Well, this is, isn't it? We've taken their coach, and he was perfect for Australia in this situation because he'd done all that preparation for the Asian qualifier.
Have you heard what Didier Deschamps has said about the Australian coach? So those of you who missed it, Didier Deschamps is the coach of the France side, and he has said in the last week that had Ange Postecoglou been in charge of the Socceroos, he would have wiped the floor with them. Now he's very wary of the Socceroos with Bert Van Marwijk there because Bert's got them playing a system and got them battling and carving out results, which is promising.
Yeah, well, that's what he was brought to do. He's a tournament coach.
That's right. Yeah, and they did. I say the last 2 games that they played in the lead up there. I've gone, oh blimey, and then all of a sudden we started imposing ourselves, and I say ourselves. That's Australia, of course. I've got England to worry about.
But what irritated me in the 2010 World Cup, we essentially gave up the first game, which was against Germany. We lost 4-0, and then we didn't qualify on goal difference. It was terrible tactics.
Yeah, something a little bit harder at the back would have, had us move forward.
That's it.
Isn't that the game, though?
It is, yes. And if you just stayed a bit tighter and lost a game 2-0, as you said,
that would have gone through. But again, it's that pressure of trying to get a goal back. In fact, I think at one point Australia were leading 2-0 against Serbia. They needed one more goal, and they would have overcome that goal difference. And I think Ghana were losing to Germany, so there was a brief moment there for about 5 minutes, but then Serbia scored, and then we needed 2 goals, and it was
don't you love how clear
pressure.
World Cups
and split seconds can cost you. Whether you qualify out your group or not,
it's only 3 games.
But you talk about again the curse of the coaches, and again I'm cursed with a long memory, so I remember all this sort of stuff. You go back to Italy, 1990. They had the team of dreams. They actually called a beautiful side. Robbie Baggio on the side, Walter Zenga in goals. Didn't concede a goal until the semi-final, right? That Caniggia scored for Argentina in Naples. The game finished 1-1. Italy were beaten on penalties. The following day in La Gazzetta dello Sport, the 5 big mistakes of Vicini, which was the coach of Italy. And I'm thinking, my God, he had a team that played beautiful football and didn't concede a goal. And that was it. He was out.
One goat.
Yeah. England's chances? I was just going to
it's a funny one as well, England this year, because it's the first time ever that they go without any expectation, really.
I fancy them.
And, they're 16-1, I've just been checking, so if you want to have a bet, they're a good each way bet, I reckon. Every other time we've been, great team, we've got a good chance this time, and blah, blah, blah. Whereas this year, it's quite a young, inexperienced team. And so everyone's going, we might do okay. We're in a tough group for a start with Belgium in there as well, who are ranked above England, particularly with the bookies in this one as well.
Dark horse, in my opinion.
I don't think they're a dark horse, to be honest with you. When you've got De Bruyne and Hazard and Lukaku, Kompany, the goalkeeper Courtois, you look at them and you go, they're not a dark horse for me. So that's a tough group.
Footballers too. They're tough, hardened footballers.
So, but look, England now, and I'm going to bring this in, world champions at under 17 level, world champions at under 20 level. Under 21s have just won the prestigious Toulon International Cup for the 3rd year on the bounce. And they're coming through, and some of these lads are now in the full England squad that are going. So they're not frightened of anyone. You know,
That's
your
it.
Dele Allis and your Harry Kanes, and they're not frightened of anyone.
Yeah.
You know, so once again, it's all if buts and maybes, and it hinges on split seconds, and good
and
games, bad
instinct.
games.
I think it's football instinct as well.
But at 16-1, I reckon they're a decent each way bet. Yeah.
I just hope Harry Kane doesn't have that World Cup curse that haunted Wayne Rooney for so many years. That he was such a
All the
great striker with Man U.
Yeah,
The expectation couldn't score a goal in a World Cup.
Yeah,
but he got one in the end.
Yeah.
Look, he could do it though.
But
I think Harry's got the instincts. Yeah.
But you look at the England squad. 18 of the 23 that are going are all from the top 6 in the Premier League.
Wow.
The 3 goalkeepers are not.
Wow.
And then there's the 2 Leicester lads, Maguire and Vardy.
Yeah.
They're the only ones who are not in the top 6
Yeah.
team. So, top 6 of the Premier League.
But not only that, getting back to coaches, I like Gareth Southgate as well. I think he's got a really good temperament. He's not like I've forgotten his name now, the Swedish coach that came and bonked and Ericsson.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Just came along, and it was all about him. And he banged and he bonked. I think was after he left the England. I think Gareth Southgate's got a really good temperament. He's played the game, and I think he's he pulls those egos down a little bit. And again that club rivalry as well. He's I think he's cut through a lot of that.
Yeah, apparently the bonds are very good. I was listening to young Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool, being the youngest player in the England squad, and he said like Jordan Henderson had helped him because they've got a real good bond at Liverpool. He said Jordan Henderson has helped him get in with the rest of the England squad, and they've got a real good bond in there. So I had no expectation on them.
Lots of expectation.
There's a chance, aren't they?
That's good.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe I've convinced them. Maybe they'll go disastrously again, like we always do. But there are no expectations on them this time, as I say. So
they'll be able to play that instinctive game of the flicks, the passes, the stuff that they weren't trained to do, but they know they can do because they're free to do it.
Yeah, they are free. They've got free rein to do all that nowadays, and because they are top 6 club players. They're used to doing it. They're used to having good players around them as well. And also a couple of them, like Loftus-Cheek, has been on loan at Crystal Palace all season, but he's still been in the Premier League, and that's a hard league to play in. And he looks as though he's maybe not this World Cup, but certainly one for the future.
Yeah. Well, the future bodes well for England.
Phil, your years with Aaron Carney in the box.
Yes.
I love listening to you both for different reasons, and I think everybody's very familiar with Aaron Carney's standing up, losing his voice. He absolutely brings the emotion of every big moment. How hard is it in the box, and what experiences did you guys have staying impartial? Because it must be hard.
We found it very hard to stay impartial. The first 10 years or so, we didn't have to because it was only going into Newcastle. Yeah. With the exception of the grand final against the Central Coast Mariners, and so of course we were parochial for the first 10 years or so. But in that game against the Mariners, they decided that it would go to ABC Central Coast as well. Our commentary would go to ABC. Oh heavens above! And we knew that would be tough. Well, of course, we got some right stick because the Jets won it, and obviously we were excited, and it was with all that hoo-ha at the end of the game and everything. But
never a handball.
we couldn't hide our excitement, So of course we got some merciless stick from people on the Central Coast. But look, it's just a way of it. The last 5 years or so, ABC Grandstand became the sole radio rights holders for the A-League. Yeah. So every time, because we used to go to the away games as well in the first 10 years or so, and then they decided they would have a commentary team in every town, and you'd only do the home games. So that's what we did. So, because our commentary, say that if the Jets were playing Adelaide, our commentary was going into Adelaide, we had to be that bit more impartial, which was always difficult, but I think we did it okay. And I think people sort of realised, this is a Newcastle commentary team, so they're going to be leaning that way a bit. So,
any moments where you just wanted to go, no damn way was that a handball?
I think there was plenty of them actually. Yeah, I can't remember one instance, but. Look, there were plenty of those, and Aaron would see it one way and I'd see it another. And and the good thing with Aaron, he didn't take offence if I said, "No, I think you're wrong there, Aaron." Because we had a good relationship
between us all the time.
as I say, and but what was really good, Aaron being the ultimate professional as far as broadcasting, when me being a novice when we first started, he said, look, I'll admit, he said, I don't know that much about the game. He said, but I'll call it as I see it. He said, but you do the opinions, and don't you do any of the on the ball stuff. So right. So that worked beautifully. And he said, always have something in your mind ready to say, even if it's only it's such and such's birthday today, or his wife's just given birth to a baby, or whatever. Just have something, But usually had something football ready to go, and we just in the end we could just bounce over. I knew when he was coming down or at the end of his sentence, and he knew when I was ready. We used to have a pencil making some notes or jotting down statistics or something like that, and I'd go, and he'd know that I had something to say, and I knew how to sort of tail off my sentence ready for
We
it.
could learn a lot from them.
I think we should go back to the tapes. We should have had Aaron here on the same day as well.
Some tips. Yeah, that's it. Some tips from Aaron.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
You might not get a word in if me and Aaron are together.
That would be a good thing. I think.
Yeah, that's it. We'll just drift away into the
We'll
background.
just listen and learn.
No, but we had a lot of fun doing it, and of course, as I say, in the early days, we used to travel the away games as well, and so we stay in the same hotel as one another, but quite often, or more often than not, we were in the same hotel as the team as well. And in the days when Ian Crook was coaching, Crookie was great, because we wouldn't go in the pre-match meetings, but he'd say to us afterwards, come and have a drink. He said, what do you think? And, things like that. So, and we could have a chat. So that was really good. And we got to know the players well. Whereas the last, say, 5 years or so, as I say, when we didn't do the away game, basically I didn't really know any of the players. They didn't know me, and because I had, another full-time job. I wasn't able to go to training sessions and be there interviewing, so that they knew me well and that. So that was a bit harder, but look, and it was a lot of fun for most of the year, but it wasn't a lot of fun when we were winning the wooden spoon every year for 3 years or whatever it was. That was tough. Yeah, that was tough. You talk about getting excited. Well, it was hard to get excited because nothing to get excited about.
That's terrific, Phil. Thanks for coming in. Happy birthday for the other day as well.
Thank you. Yeah, 66.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to mention the age, but if you're at the 66 World Cup,
I would say you should age and glasses of wine should never be counted.
That's it. That's it.
Should stick with that philosophy. I think
your insight into the world game has been terrific this morning. So
now,
thanks for coming in.
Just before we go, can we get you back to talk about your soul music? I want to hear about how you go with your soul music. I think we've got that in common.
Yeah, that's a big favourite of mine as well. Next to football, soul music. I've done a bit of DJing over the years too.
One of Newcastle's best available DJs, people.
If you like soul music, if you're into Motown, soul, Northern soul.
Why wouldn't you be into soul music?
Well, we've always found it hard to get a crowd, actually, funnily enough. But I'm right into that. I've got rid of a lot of my football memorabilia, but I can't get rid of my records.
Okay, so we'll get you back if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, anytime. Yeah.
All right, terrific. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
That's it. You're welcome.
Awesome.